Before we get started, we were informed that we have two brothers who want to take the Shahada. This is a big, wonderful thing, so after the Khutba, inshallah, we'll partake on that, inshallah. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وأجمعين. Dear brothers, all the praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek His assistance, we seek His forgiveness, and we seek His guidance. And whomsoever Allah guides, there is none that can guide him astray. And whomsoever Allah leaves astray, due to their own choices and perversions and sins and actions, there is nothing that can guide him aright. I give open and sound testimony that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I give open and sound testimony that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal upon all the prophets. May the peace and blessings be upon him, his family, his companions, and to all who follow him to the day of judgment. Ameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Allah says, "O you who believe, fear Allah with a true fear, and die not except in the state of Islam." Allah says, "Ya ayyuhan nasu taqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida wa khalaqa min zawjaha wa batha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa wa taqu Allah alladhi tasaaluna bihi wa arham." And Allah now addresses mankind, not just Muslims, all of mankind. He says, "Fear your guardian Lord." And he says, "Fear your guardian Lord who created you from a single person, and from him he created his mate. And from them both he created many men and women. And fear Allah through whom you demand your mutual rights. And do not cut off the relations of the wombs that bore you. And know that Allah is forever a watcher over you." Allah says, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadidan yuslih lakum a'malakum wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum wa may yati Allah wa rasulahu faqad faza fawzan adheeman." This is extremely important, and it's a missing ingredient amongst the people. Allah says, when you fear Allah and when you speak, aim for the point. Speak direct to the point. Qulu qawlan sadidan. Don't shuck and jive and shoot around the point. Speak direct to the point. And He says this is so serious that if you do it, He will correct your fears. He will forgive your sins. Right? He correct your fears and forgive your sins. As to what follows, Allah says in Surah Ali Imran, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعِلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ ذَكَرُوا اللَّهَ فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا لِذُنُوبِهِمْ وَمَن يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يُصِرُّوا عَلَى مَا فَعِلُوا وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah says, "And those who have done something to be ashamed of," fahisha, committed lewd, when he commits lewd and malicious and vicious acts, He says, "And they have wronged their souls." ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ. He says, earnestly bringing the law to mind and ask for forgiveness for their sins. And who can forgive sins except Allah? And never, ever obstinate in persisting knowing the wrong they have done. And there was a dua the Prophet ﷺ had taught Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr asked the Prophet ﷺ for some advice. And he said, make the dua. Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi zulmin kathiran wa la yaghfiru dhunuba illa anta. Faghfir li maghfiratan min indika warhamni innaka anta ghafurur rahim. The two words that's mentioned in this ayat and dua is dhulm. It's dhulm. And it can be defined several ways depending on how the word is used in the context. And in this ayat and dua, it's referring to sinning. So dhulm is oppressing yourself. So sinning is a form of oppressing your own selves. We know that the khutbas and our talks, sometimes they either fall into giving good news, encouragement, and sometimes they're warning. Sometimes they're warning. And I know sometimes it seems like we hear more the warning talks than the good news. But alhamdulillah. And so this one will probably fall into that category of warning because we're talking about sinning, its punishments, and it being a form of oppressing ourselves. When we read the ayat and the dua, we notice that after dhulm is mentioned, after oppressing yourself is mentioned, then it is the seeking of forgiveness for your sins. So that indicates, that's a proof that we're talking about sinning as a form of oppressing yourself. It's actually a way of injecting pathologies. It's actually a way of injecting pathologies inside yourself. I mean, who would really inject a disease in himself? You wouldn't go and just get some AIDS over here, some other disease, and just inject it into yourself. We would think the individual is crazy. Well, sinning, and we're going to be informed of its consequences and punishment, is a form of injecting, because what happens is you will get pathologies, diseases that will come as a result from this. It's also considered as self-ejecting diseases right directly into your heart. Sinning blackens the heart. Sinning causes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to khatam the heart. Seal it up. But He ain't doing. That's because of what we do. That's because of the sinning. So you're self-imposing this, bringing this about. You also, sinning will learn surely inshallah that sinning brings about profound chaos. Profound chaos to your physical, to your mental, and to your spiritual being. You no longer will be balanced. You will be chaotic. And when we learn, inshallah, of the punishments, it fits the description. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya, rahimahullah, whom we love to quote, subhanallah. He was Ibn Kathir's teacher, the famous tafsir, Ibn Kathir. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya was his teacher. He was one of the great scholars of the past, and he has done extensive research and studying and teaching on this subject of sinning and its effects on the human being. And in one of his books titled Sins and Their Punishments, he mentions some of the dangerous consequences of oppressing your own self. He elaborates on them from the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ. But before we get to the consequences and punishments of them, let's try to collectively shape our perception together. And first by looking at a comparison. When you look at, we all are somewhat aware, and somewhat more than others, of the justice system here on earth. And when you have a justice system, you have a judge, you have witnesses, you have a prosecutor, defendant, you have the sinner or the criminal defendant, you have the crime that he committed. You even have a labeling of the crime, a categorization of the crime, and then the punishment and consequences of the particular crime that he committed. And because of this awareness, society know that, hey, those who don't want to go through all that, he's going to be law-abiding. And Muslims, inshallah, we are all law-abiding. But he's going to be king. I don't want to go in front of the judge. I don't want to commit that crime. That crime is a misdemeanor. That crime gets me a Class E felony. That crime gets me in prison for 20 years. You're like, nah. So we're abiding. We're law abiding. But are we? Now let's back up. Now let's look at the justice system in Islam. We have Allah, who is Al-Hakim, the judge. You have witnesses in the Malaika, the earth, In Surah Al-Zalzala, it's mentioned that the earth is going to tell stories of what you've done, on it. So he's going to be a witness as well. We all know the angels are going to be witness. They're writing it down, writing everything down. Did, think, said, everything. And not only that, even your own limbs will be witnesses against you. So you have a judge, you have witnesses, and you have a defense attorney, and you're going to have a prosecutor. Sheikh Bojain has said, in giving a talk about the Quran, he said the Quran will be on the day of judgment like a prosecutor or defense attorney for you. If you read it, followed it, applied it, then he will come to your defense. He will come as a shifad. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said on the day of judgment, those who memorized it, read it, it will come on the day of judgment for you as a shifad, as an intercessor, pleading for you. But if you abandon it and you don't read it, you don't follow it, you don't like listen to it, it's irritating to listen to it. You have to make yourself listen to it. Then on that day, Sheikh Bojain said that it will be Mahil As-Sadiq. He said this is someone who speaks very swiftly. Swift in telling the truth. He says, but the difference is that defendant or that prosecutor is friends with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's his speech. So how you apply it and listen to it and read it in this life will determine how it's going to come to your aid on their judgment. But you also have the sinner, or the abd, let's say the abd, the worshiper, and you have the sin he committed, or the sins we commit. They also are categorized. Ma'siyah saghir or ma'siyah kabir. Small sins or big sins. What do you have to do to get them alleviated? Right? And the impact on them that they have on you, your body, and your hereafter. But we have to ask ourselves, are we just as abiding to the laws of Islam as we are to the laws of the land? Are we just as conscious to abiding the laws of the land, or conscious embodying the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we are the laws of the land? Are we as conscious of that? So brothers, the first that we said in this book is titled Sins and Their Punishments by Ibn Qayyim. And he mentions 11 of them. I think we were just able to cover maybe about 6 of them, 7 of them. The first one he mentions, the consequence and punishments of sins is that, he says, it weakens the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It weakens the journey of the heart traveling to Allah according to the strength it possesses. He says, and if the heart is ill on account of sins, sickened by your own self, he said it eventually becomes weak and it loses its strength. If something keeps getting rusted, it's just not strong no more. It's nice hardened chrome, and then it keeps getting rusted, it's not strong, you can bend it. Which is what sins does to the heart. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said, the rust keeps going over until it just covers the heart. So it's weakened. He said it eventually becomes weak and it loses strength and it becomes severed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jeremiah. Now talking about sins, when we read the Quran and we read in when it's mentioned about sins, in Arabic, it's amazing, they're categorized. But when it's translated in English, you just see sins. But you have a sin, the grammarian said, you have vanub, and this is the type of sin that we fall into every day. The eye wandering a little recklessly, maybe walking upon some backbiting, small sins. He says those sins are forgiven, like we hear, if you pray one salat to the next, sins are forgiven. From Jumu'ah to Jumu'ah, sins are forgiven. These are small sins. That's vanub. But then you have itham. This is amazing. Itham, now it starts to get increased. Itham is sins that are premeditated. You were aware of all the consequences, you were aware of what was going to happen, and you plan that sin. You go into a family gathering, you know what's going to be coming, going to be going on. The ex-girlfriend's going to be there, whatever it may be. And you go anyway. Or you say, once a month, I'm going on a little sinning excursion. You planned it. You bought the ticket, you made the money, you saved the money, you planned it. This is itham. And if this is done consecutively and continuously, then it goes into a next stage. That's when you start to sever yourself. Then you see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the mujrim. And he mentions in the Quran, in the English, it's mentioned as a criminal. But a mujrim is actually an individual who has severed ties with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have committed so much itham, so many premeditated sins, that you have lost the desire to make tawbah, and you've done it so much you have severed your heart between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the second, he says, two, from amongst the punishments of sins is that they cause blessings to be removed and calamity and hardships to descend. It says, and blessings are taken away from the servant due to his sins. It was reported that Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, no calamity befalls a person except on account of his sins, and no calamity is lifted except to his repentance. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا أَصَابَكُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ فِيمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِكُمْ وَيَغْفُرُ عَنْ كَثِيرٍ. He says, and whatever misfortune happens to you, it is because of the things your own hands have wrought. He says, and for many of them he grants forgiveness. So again, that's related to what we said of bringing about diseases and pathologies to your own self by your own hands. That's exactly what it is. He also says, from amongst the punishments of sins is that Allah casts into the heart of the sinner a feeling of terror, fear, and loneliness. This is the condition. See how it keeps getting, it don't get any better. This is the life of the perpetual sinner. He will begin to have a life of terror. He's always in fear. He's filled with anxiety. And guess what? Anxiety is taking down America. It's taking down the world. In fact, psychologists call this generation age and generation of anxiety. And the Prophet ﷺ sought refuge against anxiety 1,500 years ago. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi. But excessive sinning will bring about, you're saying, bring on anxiety. Rid me with it. And when a person is riddled with anxiety, what is he going to do? He's going to medicate himself and regulate himself with mechanisms that he's only aware of. And they may be drinking, more sinning, unless he quickly turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn al-Qayyim states that sin enters the heart. It enters into the heart an immense feeling of loneliness. He says, and as a result, the sinner finds himself lonely and sad. We read somewhere recently, guys, and it blew me away, almost bring tears to you, that the APA, the Association of the American Psychological Association, they have deemed loneliness as a mental illness. A mental illness. And I think a year ago we had a psychiatrist here and he was talking about Alzheimer's. And he had said that early stage of Alzheimer's is the most misdiagnosed thing. He said because actually what it is, it's actually that the human being is filled with his disappointments and they are extremely lonely. And that loneliness can get so bad that it can be misdiagnosed as early stage of Alzheimer's. I mean, this can be brought on about sinning. It got to be more intelligent than that. This can be brought about more sinning. He says that, so he says, Ibn al-Qayyim says that gloom and isolation has caused disunity between him and his Lord. You are no more in unison with your Lord. Like he said, you have severed it off. What kind of life is that? We can't even imagine it. He said he has severed unity with his Lord. He said he has severed unity with creation. And he has become disunity amongst his own self. Consequence of sin. Now I wanted to touch here on the difference between solitude in isolation, because he said here that the sinner will be lonely. Now when the abd is in solitude, or he loves it. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said when he was in prison, he said he felt like he was in Jannah at times when he was with his Lord in dhikr, reading Quran, making tawbah. See, the abd of Allah, he enjoys solitude at times. He enjoys it. He's alone. He's with his Lord. So for him, it's a place of peace. But for the sinner, his isolation is torment. He's tormented. He's frustrated. He's sad. It's a totally different thing for him. The fourth thing from amongst the punishments of sins that the Shaykh goes on to say is that the removal of honor, respect, and status within the sight of Allah and His creation. He will remove honor and respect for you from Him and creation. This is another result of sinning. So we start to see as more and more we go into this is a very, very bad life. This is a very bad life. And there's two names that belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala related to this type of topic. And that is, He's Al-Rafi and He's Al-Khafid. And He's Al-Rafi, He's the one who raises. He's the one who raises people according to their own worship and obedience to Him. But He's also Al-Khafid. And He's the one that can expose you. Expose you to your own families. Expose you, and He says, we will expose you even in your own homes. Expose you to your peers. This can happen from a result of sinning. May Allah protect us from that. Ibn al-Qayyim goes on to mention that from amongst the punishments of sins is that they can lead to a decrease in the intellect. Man, subhanAllah. Remember when he asked, how do you identify the friends of Allah? He says, it was said, when you see them, they make you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It makes you think of Islam. It reminds you of Allah. And when you talk with them, your knowledge of Islam increases. Your iman increases. I'm sure we all met this kind of brother. May Allah make this from amongst them. You talk with him, you enjoy talking with him, you get inspired, your iman increases. You realize it's nothing but it's good energy. It's beneficial energy. He says, and when that individual leaves you, you miss him. When that happens, know that you was with a friend of Allah. But a sinner, and all the pathologies that we mentioned earlier, he's disrespected, he's degraded, he's angry, he's lonely, he exudes negative energy, his speech is negative. And guess what else will be negative? His intellect. Sins is all a cause of that. Put a decrease in the intellect. And you can tell when you talk to this kind of individual. Like, this is lovely. He's full and he exudes lovely out of his mouth. A bunch of vain talk. And the worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah said that the worshippers of Him, when they pass by Lagwi, He says they pass by Kiraman. They do not stop and listen to it. That's how, and in fact, Lagwi, amazing. We're talking about talk. Amazing that Allah mentions several times as a reward in Jannah, amongst all the rewards that they're in Jannah. Do you know one of the rewards He mentions a lot? La tasma'u fiha lahiya. One of the rewards will be you won't have to listen to Lagwi inside Jannah. So in this life, to the worshiper and to the obedient server, vain talk should be agitative. He can't stand it. Oh, it's just, it bogs me down. I can't stand listening to it. It's unbeneficial. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it as a reward in Jannah. La tasma'u fiha lahiya. But that kind of talk comes from a deficient intellect. And a deficient intellect, oh man, I read a word that defined the intellect, something that's corrosive and eroding. That's where the conversation is going to come from. So that's the punishment of sin. So alhamdulillah, let's be mindful of Allah, obeying Him, and staying away from sinning. Ameen. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. So a couple minutes, let's wrap this few up. The Shaykh goes on to state that from amongst the punishment sins is that they encourage various species of the creation to cause more harm and injury to you. Amongst the punishments of sin is that Allah will cause the creation and various species of the creation to continue to cause more harm and injury to you. They will continue to tempt you, whisper to Him, and cause Him to forget Allah. His well-being will only lie within remembering Allah, and His destruction will be the result of forgetting Him. And remember, Allah says, وَأَمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ فَإِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. And when you are enticed to evil, excited to evil, by the evil exciter, called shaitan nazgun, one who enticed the evil, and the shaitan, he says, you have to seek refuge in Allah. Quickly seek refuge in Allah. And that's the only thing that's going to protect you from that onslaught. He also says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. And do not be like those who forgot Allah and He made them to forget their own souls. Such they are the transgressor. Forgetting your own souls. Ibn al-Qayyim talked about this. This is two punishments for one act. Forgetting the law. He says, and you forget Him, He will cause you to forget yourself. And that is, I'm sorry, if you forget Him, He will forget you. And that is enough. Having your Creator forget you and abandon you. He said, but it will compound it. That He will all act as well cause you to forget your own selves. You will start to abandon and neglect your own self. And Ibn al-Qayyim said what this means is that He will cause the human being to be so busy doing and so consumed doing a whole bunch of things. You think you're popping, you think you're doing everything, you think you're moving, you think you're shaking, but none of those things is benefiting you in the hereafter. None of those things benefit your soul, and you don't even realize it until the day you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's forgetting yourself. You're forgetting your own soul. And lastly, from amongst the punishment sins is that they sever the servant from amongst his most beneficial, sincerest advisor of all of creation. His most beneficial and sincerest companion and advisor that we all have. And that is the angel. The angel that has been appointed to you. Ibn al-Qayyim states that although the angel befriends the obedient servant, he says the sincerest and greatest ally to him in creation has befriended him. But when you sin, you run him off. And there's countless of hadith to mention about sinning and offending the angel. We don't have time to go into. But Allah says, in the case of those who say, our Lord Allah, and further stand straight and stand fast, the angels, they descend on them from time to time. And they say, fear not, they suggest, nor grieve, but receive the glad tidings of the garden of bliss, that which you were promised. It says, we were your protectors in this life and in the hereafter. It says, and therein you shall find all that your soul desires, and there you shall have all that you ask for. Dear brothers, to wrap it up, sinning can actually be, and the word zulm, impressing yourself, one of the best ways that for me personally was to realize that it's trauma. You know, trauma is a word that hits us hard. You hear trauma, you're like, whoa, whoa. And trauma is really unfortunate events that has long-lasting consequences. And so, just keep in mind that when you're sinning, and you can excessively do it, and you're not